Hi everyone, it's Marisa from bumblebeeapothecary.com and I'm back with another pregnancy update. This one is a 20-week pregnancy update and I have some more questions that you guys have asked on my last update, so I'm going to answer those, talk about what supplements I'm taking, how things are going, all that good stuff. So I am about 20, a little past 20 and a half weeks, I guess, and I'm feeling really good. My energy is back. I can eat pretty much everything pretty close to normal. So I've been taking advantage of that and going to more of my staple nourishing foods, the meat stock, the fermented foods, all that kind of stuff. I'm still doing a full Weston A. Price diet just because it's easier, I can, and I enjoy it. It helps me get the carbs in that my body wants right now in a more easy way, and it just fits really well for right now. You guys had some really great questions that I'm really excited to answer in my 12-week pregnancy update video, which I'll link below. If you haven't seen that, you can go check it out. But the first one was, what are my thoughts on prenatal vitamins? Do I take them? So I wanted to talk about that a little bit and show you what I am taking. That's why I have my supplement collection here. So first of all, I want to say, as always, this is just what I have chosen to do after consulting with health professionals and doing my own research. Everybody's different, so definitely do your own research, talk to your own trusted health professionals, but this is what I have decided to do. So I talked to Dr. Becky Plotner about this because in my past pregnancies, I have always taken a prenatal vitamin. I've tried several different whole food ones and things went okay, I guess. The fact that my children were still all born with tongue and lip ties is still something that I always kept in the back of my mind. I did find the prenatal vitamins that had methylated folate and not synthetic folic acid, which is supposed to help with that, help prevent those ties, but they still ended up with them. So I thought about that more and I asked Dr. Becky what her recommendations are for prenatal vitamins, and she recommended a lot of the things that I have here. So I'm not taking a commercial pre-combined prenatal vitamin, but I am taking, as you can see, a whole bunch of separate things that for me all work together to more than cover all of the nutritional bases. Another really important thing that Dr. Becky talked about is obviously your diet. You cannot, rely on just supplements and expect to have a healthy baby. Diet is huge. It's arguably the most important, even before supplements. I guess it kind of depends, but it's important. Maybe they're both the same importance. Anyway, she recommended focusing a lot on organ meats, on egg yolks, bone marrow, all those really nourishing, super healing foods. Of course, the meat stock for collagen, and then homemade fermented foods for lots of friendly bacteria. So let me show you what I'm actually taking individually. I've talked about a few of these things that are just like a continuation in my other video that I've done where I talk about what supplements I'm taking, but I'm doing some more things too. So some familiar faces that you will have noticed from before are going to be my fermented cod liver oil. Now normally when I'm not pregnant, I like to go back and forth and take both the Green Pastures fermented cod liver oil or the Rosita raw cod liver oil. We'll go back and forth, do one for a while, then the other. I cannot stomach the Rosita cod liver oil right now, so I've just been doing the fermented. I also go ahead and do the butter oil. I usually do the gel that you scoop out, but I accidentally got capsules this last time. That's okay, they still work. So I take those together. I also have these 3 different homeopathic cell salts that I take on a rotating basis. I will link down below the blog post from the homeopath that recommends this specific protocol during pregnancy and nursing. It changes depending on what month of pregnancy you're in, and then once you're nursing there's a protocol for that, but it's always a combination of 3 different cell salts that help with a lot of different things for pregnancy, so I'm doing that. I'm also following Dr. Becky Plotner's recommendations for internal iodine. There's a very specific amount that you should not go over during pregnancy, so I'm just doing the 5 drops of the iodine with the Celtic sea salt in water and the selenium drops in water. So I started that before getting pregnant, or actually it was kind of at the same time. I had started the pre-process before I knew I was pregnant, and so I got back into contact with her to make sure I was doing these correct amounts for the internal iodine during pregnancy, and she said, yes, it's great, just don't go over this certain amount. And she said in her experience, babies where the mother takes internal iodine have higher IQs, so that sounds good to me. I'm also taking the standard processed farrow food iron. It's like a combination of real food stuff that boosts your iron levels to make sure those stay at healthy levels. And then I'm taking grass-fed beef liver. So my usual brand that I have been doing for a while now is Ancestral Supplements. And I have talked before about taking raw liver. I will, I think, eventually switch back to that probably pretty soon, since I'm able to pretty much stomach most things at this point. But for the first trimester for sure, and then up until I switch, which should be pretty soon, I've just been doing the freeze-dried liver capsules. So Ancestral Supplements is usually my favorite brand, and I recently had another company reach out to me that has very similar quality. Grass-fed, grass-finished from New Zealand. It's raw, so not heated. So I felt like it was all the same quality as Ancestral Supplements. Slightly bigger bottle, which is kind of nice. They have this beef liver that I've been taking. They also have a bone marrow one that we've been trying, beef kidney, and then a beef organ blend that has a bunch of things. It has liver, spleen, heart, kidney, different things like that. So I've been really happy with these. This company is called One Earth Health. And then I will have everything here linked below in case you're interested in looking into any of these things. So there'll be links down below if you want to check out any of these things further. And then the last, I know this looks like a lot of stuff here, but when you get into a routine with it and it's just, you know, you take these things in the morning, these things at dinner, it's not really that hard to keep up with. And then these last few things for digestion, there's these herbal bitters from Urban Moonshine that I've really been liking. I took some other blends from them before I was pregnant that I really felt like supported my liver and helped that a lot. And then this one, the other ones are not safe during pregnancy, but this one is the Calm Tummy Bitters. And that's really helpful for, you know, supporting your liver, increasing stomach acid production, those kinds of things. So I take that at the beginning of each meal. I also take at least one, maybe a second or even a third if I feel like I need it, of these betaine HCl pepsin. It's basically stomach acid, because in pregnancy yeast grows a little bit more than normal, just the normal part of pregnancy. It probably has something to do with, you know, protecting from toxins and things like that. But yeast does inhibit stomach acid production a little bit, which then, you know, causes a chain reaction of everything else not working as well. So Dr. Natasha actually recommended in pregnancy boosting your stomach acid production with sauerkraut brine, and taking the stomach acid supplement. So I've been doing that. And then also I just have these enzymes on hand. It's another thing that Dr. Natasha recommends if you feel like in between meals you're burping a lot or something's just not settling well, not digesting well. She recommends taking an enzyme to just help, you know, enhance your digestion and get things working well again. Just because in pregnancy everything just kind of slows down and isn't as robust as when you're not pregnant, and so these digestion things can kind of help. So that's everything that I'm taking, and I've been really happy with it, feeling really good, great energy and good sleep, and I'm excited to see if it has any bearing on whether this baby will have any ties or not. I have a completely open mind to whatever happens. I don't know how much of that is genetic versus how much it depends on what you're eating. I'm doing the absolute best I can with food. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to find out. Another question that I have is a really good one. She's also wondering if this new baby will need to have the GAPS diet if I've successfully completed it myself and gone to a more Weston Price diet now. And she says that she follows a Nourishing Traditions guide to feeding a baby and wondering how a mother determines if a GAPS protocol is necessary for her children, or do you just do it as a precaution? This is an awesome question, and I have quite a bit of experience to pull from. So with my first, I obviously did the GAPS diet for 2 years before having children, then transitioned to a full Weston A. Price diet. Was doing great, really healthy pregnancy with her. And then when she was ready to move on to solids, I followed the Nourishing Traditions guidelines for introducing solids for babies, and she did great, no issues at all. And then my second child came along, still nice healthy pregnancy, everything seemed good, and I tried at 7 months or 6 months with him, introducing solids the same way that I did with her with the Nourishing Traditions steps that starts with egg yolk and raw liver, and he got a rash on his face from the egg yolk. So I reached out to a GAPS professional and she said, yeah, it sounds like you have a GAPSy baby. I would take solids out for a month, and I did that. I went back to nursing and just nursing, and then the rash completely went away. He was fine. And then at 7 months, I followed this GAPS professional's recommendation of doing the baby GAPS introduction steps, and he did really well with that. That was the beginning of his GAPS journey to where he is. I want to do another family health update pretty soon and talk about where he's at. Really good success with that. But to answer that question, yes, that was where I found out that the Nourishing Traditions steps for introducing solids probably worked really well some years ago when people are less sick and less damaged and the world was less toxic. But these days, my personal opinion is whether or not you see any red flags, start with the baby GAPS steps. Then you'll have your bases covered. As you go on, you'll be able to easily see, okay, after 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, are they ready to transition onto a full Weston Price type diet and do okay or not? That'll be a really key part to determining whether or not they have a GAPS issue that needs to be worked through. For example, if they have a heavy metal burden that's going to need to be addressed like we did with my son, or if they're okay and they're good to go. Either way, whether they needed GAPS or not, it is the best nutritional foundation to give to a child. So going forward, I did that with my third child. I didn't even do the Nourishing Traditions steps with him. I just went straight to the baby GAPS steps, and I'm really glad that I did. He's still mostly GAPS. He will have some properly prepared grains, just a little bit here and there. He's going to be 2 pretty soon, and then probably after 2 he'll transition more to a full Weston A. Price diet. And then with this baby, I'm going to do the same thing, baby GAPS steps for sure. I just think, and I've heard other GAPS professionals say this too, in this day and age that we live in with how toxic the world is and how much sicker and more damaged people are, it's better to just start with the GAPS steps, and it just works better that way. And then another one, I wanted to say here too that I loved all the encouragement and support from you guys. I was a little bit nervous about being as open and transparent about how rough the first trimesters are for me and how I had a hard time sticking to just GAPS foods and really had to go to a full Weston A. Price Nourishing Traditions type diet so I could get in those, more carbs and starches and properly prepared grains. And I so appreciate all the support and you guys sharing your experiences too of what it's like and what you've done. And I have another question here that's a really good one. What are my thoughts about ultrasounds and have I ever had one? And this is a really good thing to think about. I so far have not had any ultrasounds with any of my kids. I'm not 100% against them. I just think it's good to be a little bit careful. Do your own research. In my research, I read that there's still a lot that we don't know about them. Enough time has gone by to where we're not seeing terrible outcomes or anything like that, but there's still enough that we don't know and a short enough amount of time to where we just don't know all the long-term effects that they have on a baby. I have also seen some research that prolonged ultrasounds and lots of ultrasounds in one pregnancy can lead to some health problems. So just reading about those things and hearing about those things makes me a little bit careful when it comes to them, and that's why if my midwife didn't see a real need or concern or any reason to go and have one, then I just haven't done it. And then so far all of the babies have been surprises as far as what gender they are, so there wasn't a reason to do it for that either. This one we might find out, so this one might be different. But that leads me to the next thing I was gonna say. I would be okay with doing just one, just to find out the gender, and then leave it at that. So that's my take on it. Just conservative, cautious approach to it, not 100% against them, but I would try my best to avoid lots of them or prolonged ones. And then another person just sharing that it was so encouraging to hear my honest recap. I appreciate that so much. First trimester is just do your best. That's so true. And she was wondering how I prepare for birth and the baby's gut flora. And I'm gonna share a little bit more of this as I probably will do a later update closer to the end, but preparing for the baby's gut flora is something that's always very much on my mind for pregnancy. The way that I eat is the first thing that I think about. I try to be eating, avoiding junk and excess sweet foods, avoiding junk completely and avoiding excess sweet foods as much as possible to help have a healthy, balanced gut bacteria for one thing, and then also eating as much fermented foods as I can. So lots of the cultured dairy, lots of fermented vegetables. And then there are also things that you can do to populate the area. So when the baby is born and they're coming through the birth canal, that is, according to what I've learned, the biggest opportunity for them to get exposed to the mother's gut flora, and that influences what set of gut flora they start their life out with. So I feel like that's a huge responsibility, and I always take it really seriously. First of all, like I said, how I eat. And then there's other ways that you can also populate the birth canal area. So things that I've done in the past are put kefir in that area, put very diluted apple cider vinegar in that area. You can even do a probiotic capsule. If you're trying to avoid or clear up something like group B strep, I've heard of people putting garlic cloves in that area. So, and on the topic of group B strep, I've always tested negative for it. I've heard that it's a gut bacteria condition. So in a healthy person, there's some amount of it there, but it's when the healthy bacteria are not strong enough that it overgrows and shows up on a test and becomes a problem. So that's what my understanding is of it. So with all the stuff that I do for gut health, I've always tested negative. The thing that I'm doing so far, since I'm only halfway at this point, is following Dr. Natasha's recommendations and just every day after a shower or bath or whatever, putting kefir in that area to populate with friendly bacteria. And then as pregnancy gets closer towards the end, I'm going to absolutely keep up with that and then put it in other areas of my body too, where it can influence the baby when they first nurse and things like that. So just trying to populate my body as much as I can with friendly bacteria so that they can have a good start with that as well. Hopefully this video is not way too long, but I wanted to get all those questions answered, go over the supplements, all that kind of stuff. Hope that you found it interesting, and if you have any more questions, definitely leave them below. I want to know what else you guys would like to hear me talk about as I do another pregnancy update farther along in pregnancy, and any other questions that you guys have. Check out that description box for links to my different supplements, as well as the article on homeopathic cell salt protocol that I follow. That will be linked down below. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else who you think would find it interesting or helpful. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 new videos every week on nourishing recipes and natural living. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.